I want to make this very, very clear. This series between the New York Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers is not over. All right? So to my fellow Met fan that is giving up, to my fellow Met fan that's throwing in the towel, to my fellow Met fan that's saying, gee golly, they're just too good, hooey. Now, I'm not going to confidently tell you, Tiki, the Mets are going to win the series.
Yeah, it's hard to do that because the Dodgers are so damn good.
They're very good. They're very good. And we should have known that coming in. But the one thing I don't want to hear, as a student of history and as a guy that's watched enough baseball, it doesn't matter if you lose 8-0 and you lose 9-0. It's irrelevant. We all know how it got to 8-0 last night. Carlos Mendoza made some business decisions late in this game. And there are a lot of things that, sure, I'm concerned about. A lot of things they've got to be better at. But right from jump, I want to make this clear. As somebody that's not normally an optimistic guy.
I'm telling you.
The idea that they're dead, the idea that it's over, the idea that it's a fait accompli, it's Yankees-Dodgers, shut up. If you want to go tonight, sell your freaking tickets to somebody that believes. So I'm not going to give you some high pie-in-the-sky pep talk. The Mets are going to win. They got the magic. I don't know what the hell's going to happen. But what I do know is I've seen enough baseball, Tiki, to not give up because, they lost 8-0 and they've been outscored by 1,000,000 runs and they haven't scored a run in 24 out of 27 innings. Everything can change on a dime, and it better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised at this positive Evan right now.
It's not positive. It's realistic.
Well, I mean, it's realistic, but it's true. I mean, nothing is ever over until it's actually over. We've seen it before. And then down a game, it's not like they're up 3-1 because they could be tonight after tonight or the series is over. I mean, they're down a game. It's 2-1 right now. There's nothing that says that this is over for the Mets. Now, do they need to hit? Sure. They need to be more energetic at home? Sure. But I don't think that the Dodgers are so good that they have to lay down to them right now. If you're the Mets, the Mets just have to play better, and if they get an ace performance from Quintana, then they'll be fine. But right now, to me, of course it's not over. Anyone who thinks it is because they got beat the hell up last night, that's baseball. That happens.
It is baseball. And losing 8-0 and losing 9-0 may look very bad on a box score. It doesn't mean anything different than losing 3-2.
Yeah.
Like, there is no difference. And here's the reality. I think back in this presidential campaign time to one of the great presidential slogans of all time. It was 1992, and James Carville and Paul Begala, as they were running the Clinton campaign, said, "It's the economy, stupid." That was their big thing. It's the economy, stupid. You could talk about all these other things, but this election in 1992 was all going to come down to the economy. So I want to borrow their phrase to describe the ills of the New York Mets. It's the offense, stupid. It's the offense, stupid. It's the offense. Like, yeah, I can go through and we can spend all day going through the defensive miscue that was made by Francisco Alvarez in the second inning of yesterday's game. And we can go through the 2 defensive miscues by the Gold Glove finalist known as Luis Severino. And we could go through how they gave the Dodgers 2 runs in that second inning, though Tyrone Taylor made one hell of a catch. You're right. We can go through that. But when the Mets have the bases loaded and 1 out in the second inning, and Francisco Alvarez has an at-bat in which he looks like he doesn't belong on this stage, and Francisco Lindor, who is very tough to ever criticize, but bases loaded 2 outs, he strikes out in a big spot, that's where things have to change. In the second inning, the third inning, when they have 2 on and 2 out, and here's J.D. Martinez. Of course, a big spot finds J.D. Martinez. And I know what Tiki was thinking as he watched that at-bat. He said, boy, Evan's right. I'd rather have Jesse Winker up in this spot than J.D. Martinez. They failed. And in 27 innings that they've played against the L.A. Dodgers, they have not scored a run in 24 of them, which is crazy to think about. And that's why the Mets are down 2-1. They're not scoring. Now, can that change? Yeah. The Mets have had a very good offense. The Mets have beat good pitching. In fact, the Mets have beaten better pitching than what the L.A. Dodgers are offering.
Right.
They have. Now, do the Dodgers have a great lineup? Absolutely. And they haven't even been destroyed yet by Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. I know Ohtani hit the home run late. The game was already over by that point. They haven't been destroyed by their monsters. But the pitching that's shutting down the New York Mets, while I give them credit, the Mets have beaten better. They have. And so that's what needs to change. It's the offense, stupid. If it doesn't change, they're going home. If it doesn't change, yes, the LA Dodgers are going back to the World Series for the first time since 2020. But if it does change, then damn right the Mets have a chance to come back.
Yeah, of course, but there's a lot that needs to change because the way that the Mets have scored a lot of runs this postseason has been clutch home runs. It's big moments where guys come through. And I don't want to say these are easy moments, but Francisco Lindor, when he hit the grand slam against the Phillies, I don't want to say it was easy, but he knew he was getting a fastball, right? That's all he was getting thrown with fastballs. And then you get Walker Buehler, who turned into vintage Walker Buehler, who threw him that changeup that just dropped completely away from his bat. And he's just got to think different, right? He's got to think differently when against certain pitchers. And you assume as a batter, I'm guessing, because I never did this on a professional level, that people are going to attack you one way. But the reality is smart pitchers don't. And so you got to get better. You got to get more informed. You got to be willing to not just try to hit the home run. Because that's what I felt like he was doing.
And he didn't need to.
Of course he didn't need to.
At that point in the game, a base hit up the middle ties the game. A base hit up the alley gives you the lead. They're missing the big hit. What they did in that game the game you talked about where Lindor hit the grand slam, they were knocking on the door every single inning. And they wouldn't break through. And it was incredibly frustrating. But, and this is one of the benefits of playing the Phillies versus the Dodgers, because the Dodgers are better. The Mets can't play that kind of game. They can't miss out on opportunities for the first 5 or 6 innings and expect that their pitching is going to hold down this Dodger lineup. They're better than that. They are. And what really scares me about the LA Dodgers is, like I said, their monsters, Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman, haven't even killed them yet. Again, I know Ohtani hit the home run in the 8th inning. I mean, it's 4-0 in the 8th inning. That game is freaking over. At least that's the way I felt. Those monsters haven't slaughtered them yet. You know, the Mets have really been beat by clutch hitting from other guys. Right. You know, Kiki Hernandez's 2-run home run in the 6th inning was a killer.
That's when it was over.
No doubt about it. I'm sitting at Citi Field. There was a confidence that I had even down 2-0. They'll come back. They'll come back. They'll come back. Even when Alvarez had that pathetic at-bat in the 2nd and Lindor struck out, there's a confidence of they'll come back. But unlike Philly and Milwaukee, you can't just keep it there for 6 or 7 innings and wait for that miracle moment. You have to take advantage of these opportunities that you have early. And that's what's got to change. Sometimes things are just so simple. And it is. They have to hit. They are not beating the LA Dodgers by winning 2-1, 3-2 games. I'd be stunned if that happened. They've got to score runs. And I said this about Pete Alonso before Game 3 against Milwaukee. And I and every Met fan was rewarded. What I said to you, Tiki, is I know he's capable of it. I look at this Met offense, and by the way, that includes Francisco Alvarez, who's being run out of town today. I know they're all capable of it. I've seen this Met team beat better pitching than the pitching that's shutting them down right now. They beat Devin Williams with the season on the line.
Right.
Like, I know what they're capable of doing. And so the hold I hold out on as we get set for a very important game forward Citi Field, and it's top to bottom. It's a lot of guys who have failed in this series. Lindor has 1 hit. Now, it was a very important hit. I don't want to minimize it, but he only has 1 hit. Pete Alonso's done very little. Brandon Nimmo finally got a base hit. It was a check swing down the third base line. Jose Iglesias has done little. J.D. Martinez has done little. Hopefully he's not in the lineup tonight. But all of these guys are capable of it. And it's got to change. If it doesn't, this season's over.
Right. I mean, you'll know. You'll know pretty quickly tonight whether or not the Mets have a shot. It's whether or not they're hitting. I don't know who's pitching for the Dodgers tonight.
Yamamoto.
Oh, lovely. That guy.
I see what you're doing.
That guy. I mean, if you don't hit that guy, then I was wrong.
Too small for this moment, right?
I did. I couldn't wait for this moment.
It's amazing how this story works. So for a while, we as Met fans and Yankee fans were all talking about Yamamoto. And Tiki was the one voice who said, I don't think he's very good. I think he's overrated. Now, we've seen 2 Yamamotos. We saw the Yamamoto that got bombed early in the postseason and the Yamamoto that delivered in a huge Game 5 for the LA Dodgers. Which Yoshinobu Yamamoto shows up tonight.
If he's healthy, I mean, that makes it more interesting.
Tiki?
My biggest issue is I don't think he could stay healthy. He didn't for the entire season, but when he came back, he was actually pretty damn
If
good.
Yamamoto pitches well tonight, I blame you.
Why?
Because you talked a lot of crap about this guy.
Why? Because I talked the Met fans out of wanting him
Yes.
after he went to the Dodgers for whatever the $500 million that he went. No, he didn't go for that much, but whatever.
Felt like that.
It did. But you know what I mean. After the Mets lost out on him, it was like, yeah, forget him. Tiki was right about him. We don't want him anyways.
Right.
He's good. And then he comes back and kills you. Then, yeah, I'll take blame for it.
Here's the reality of players, and it goes for Met players, Yankee players, and certainly a guy like Yamamoto. What you do in the regular season matters. What you do in October matters more.
No doubt.
And so for a guy like him, if he delivers 5 or 6 scoreless innings against the Mets, then he's worth every freaking penny. Now, let me address Francisco Alvarez, because I got to tell you, I think this is an open and shut case. And I know I'm going to get yelled at. I know Met fans are going to be angry with me. But Francisco Alvarez should be in the starting lineup tonight. And there are 2 reasons for it. And I want to make them very clear so we all understand. Number 1, his connection with Jose Quintana matters. Right now, at this point in the season, your catcher, yeah, you want to get some offense from them, but the most important thing from a catcher is the connection with the guy on the mound. Can he maximize what you're getting from the guy on the mound? The numbers, I've analyzed them. I'd look at them. I can break them down for you if you really care. He's better with Alvarez catching him versus Luis Torrens. He's not a train wreck with Luis Torrens, but he's better with Francisco Alvarez. That's number 1. And that could be the end of the discussion. Like, I could literally just put that on the table and say open and shut. But that's not the only thing. See, when you call up this radio station today, or you tweet, or you talk to your friends, I totally get the arguments of, hey, I want to sit Jose Iglesias. Because maybe Jeff McNeil can get hot. Or maybe Luis Angel Acuna can give them a little fire. I get all that. But I need to remind every single Met fan, especially you Johnny-come-latelys who's just started watching after game 161, Luis Torrens' bat has been limper than my bat my entire high school career over the last few months. He has not hit. So if you're benching Alvarez with the hope of, hey, maybe we can get a spark, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, because it's not worth what you're losing out defensively from Francisco Alvarez.
Not only that, yes, Tiki, but I'll tell you something else. And I know this is going to sound crazy. I think there's a better chance Francisco Alvarez hits a big 3-run home run tonight than Luis Torrens does. It's just true. So for any other change that a Met fan wants to make, I get it, because a part of you looks at the alternative and says, hey, I can see Harrison Bader having a big day against Yamamoto. He had one earlier this year. I can see Jeff McNeil, who won a batting title, contributing. I can see Luis Angel Acuna giving this team a spark. Like, that's all fair game, and it should all be on the table. But Luis Torrens, after a really fast start with his team, did not hit at all. So it's almost like you're letting your frustration out at a guy who is really struggling. I am not defending him. The defensive miscues, the over-aggressiveness, and that's not the first time he's made a defensive miscue behind the plate. But I still think their best answer in this moment for this game is Francisco Alvarez.
Right, and again, it's Francisco Alvarez is likely not hitting a 3-run home run in this game. But if he runs into one, it's great. But to me, it's more about what he's been defensively as a leader for the pitcher. Right, as the battery mate for the guy on the mound, that matters probably a lot more.
It does.
And I mean,
because you need the best of Quintana today.
Right, exactly. And you need to shut down the Dodgers' bats more than you do need to worry about him getting hot against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Right, and even if he does, that's gravy to me. It's more about what he brings defensively and who he is as a young leader on this team. It gets really challenging when you think about some of these guys and what Mindy's thought processes are going to be as far as who's in this lineup today. Because in one part, you do want someone to spark you, but at this stage in the season, right, you're 2 losses away from being done. Do you want to rely on someone you don't know yet? Right? Don't quite believe in yet, that becomes challenging for the skip. And so that's why you see Mindy making these decisions with guys that he had been in the spot. I mean, it's why, despite his ineffectiveness, J.D. Martinez, despite the 2 walks, right, J.D. Martinez is in the lineup.
Right.
Is he going to be there more? I don't know. But he's been there before. Right? You saw him win a world championship. You know that he has the ability to respond in the postseason. You don't necessarily know that about Winker. right? I mean,
I know about a Winker. Winker's got to play over JD. Don't start with me about this.
He's been fun. I'm just talking about why
he's already contributed, though.
I'm not talking about why Mindy is looking at it this way.
I think he's wrong about this one.
He might be.
But Jesse's already contributed.
But you can understand why he thinks this way, though.
I mean, to an extent, but not fully. Like, I think sometimes you've also got to play the hot hand, and Jesse Winker's been hot.
Yeah.
So the Winker-JD thing to me is very different. You know I hated the move yesterday, so you can imagine how I felt when, of course, a big spot found J.D. Martinez.
True.
And we all know what happened. But I want to remind people about something, because this is very, very important. When you want to bench somebody, I get it. I'm angry, too. We all sat there last night, whether you're watching the Dodger broadcast, the Fox broadcast, or you were at Citi Field. We were all angry about Alvarez's defensive miscue in the second inning. We were all upset about the overwhelming strikeout he had in the second inning as well. But when you bench somebody, whether it's Iglesias, whether it's Alvarez, whether it's Taylor, understand the alternative. Luis Torrens, and I don't mean to pick on him, but he's the alternative. If you're calling up to bench Alvarez, there's no debate on who's playing for him. It's Luis Torrens.
Yeah.
Do you know the last time Luis Torrens got a base hit? Does anybody know? You want to guess? Sean, how about you? You want to guess?
September 9th.
That's a good guess, September 9th. You want to guess positive, Tommy?
September 12th.
That's a good guess.
August 20th.
That's an even better guess. September 2nd.
Wow.
He ended the regular season on like an 0 for 12. And I don't mean to pick on Luis Torrens.
I just didn't remember him playing that much.
Well, he played a lot more than you actually remember, because he did play a little bit towards the end of the season, but he wasn't hitting. So, and also, he hasn't played in the postseason other than for one inning behind the plate. So, Met fans, think about this again. Just think about it again. As pissed off as you are at Alvarez, we all are. Your alternative is a guy that has caught how many innings over the last 3 weeks, and a guy who has not gotten a base hit since September 2nd against the Boston Red Sox. Labor Day. That's a long time ago. And that's the guy in a Game 4 in the middle of October you're so mad at Alvarez you want to put out there. That's why, kindly, Met fans, I disagree with you. But we'll hear from you next. 888-808-1019.